Evan Caldwell had reached a strange point in his life where nothing was technically wrong, yet everything felt quietly heavy. Mornings had become battles he never signed up for. Nights were filled with guilt about the things he didn't finish, and every day carried a familiar whisper in his head, telling him he was falling behind. He wasn't miserable, he wasn't broken. He was simply tired of feeling like the weaker version of himself kept winning. It showed in the small places, the way he avoided his mirror in the morning, the way he pushed tasks to later knowing later never came, the way he promised himself he would change but somehow woke up repeating the same patterns. Evan wasn't lost in dramatic failure. He was lost in the slow erosion of self-belief. His present problem was simple but painful. He didn't trust his own effort anymore. He knew he had potential, but he also knew he rarely followed through. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't hopeless. He was stuck in that uncomfortable middle space where you want to change but no longer believe you can. His backstory made that struggle understandable. Evan grew up being told he was meant for something big. Teachers praised him. Coaches believed in him. His parents bragged about him. But praise without discipline is a dangerous thing. When adulthood arrived, there was no one left cheering, no one holding him accountable. The expectation of greatness remained, but the habits never formed. Over time, that mismatch between who he wanted to be and who he was becoming turned into quiet shame. The breakdown came on a rainy Tuesday morning. He was sitting at his desk, staring at a half-finished document he'd been avoiding for days. His coffee had gone cold. His shoulders felt heavy. And for the first time in years, he whispered out loud, "I can't keep doing this." Not to anyone else, just to himself. It wasn't a dramatic collapse, but it was an honest moment where the truth finally caught up with him. Later that evening, he visited his old neighbor, Mr. Grayson, a calm and thoughtful man who had known Evan since childhood. They sat on the porch, listening to the rain as Evan explained everything: the exhaustion, the self-disappointment, the countless restarts that never lasted. He expected judgment, but Grayson simply nodded with the kind of softness that came from years of understanding human nature. After a long silence, Grayson said, "Evan, you don't need a big change. You need a small, honest one. Do you know the 1% rule?" Evan shook his head. Grayson continued, "James Clear talks about it. If you improve just 1% a day, that small change compounds into transformation. People fail because they try to change their whole life in a week. But 1%? Anyone can do that." Evan let the idea sit. 1%. Not a new identity, not a new routine, just a tiny shift. Grayson leaned forward. "Your problem isn't ability, it's pressure. You're trying to leap when you need to step." The insight felt like a quiet light turning on inside him. So he started the next morning. One tiny, almost laughable step. He spent 5 minutes cleaning his desk. He didn't aim to finish everything, just enough to feel slightly more in control. That was his 1%. The next day, he read 2 pages of a book. The day after, he walked for 10 minutes. None of it was impressive. None of it needed to be. But for the first time in a long time, Evan kept a promise to himself. These small steps built something bigger than progress. They built consistency. And consistencies built trust. The turning point came 2 weeks later when he woke up and realized he no longer felt ashamed of his mornings. He didn't feel like someone running from responsibility. He felt like someone becoming reliable again, 1 inch at a time. He thought of James Clear's journey, how the world didn't know him as the atomic habits guy until years of small, disciplined improvements finally compounded into global impact. Clear wasn't born extraordinary. He became extraordinary through tiny, repeated acts that built a powerful identity. Evan realized he could do the same in his own small way. His life didn't magically transform overnight. But it didn't need to. The magic was in the momentum. The days felt less heavy. Tasks felt less overwhelming. And slowly, the version of himself he'd been missing began returning. Not through grand achievements, but through micro movements forward. The life lesson was simple. Small improvements create big identities. You don't rebuild your future by climbing a mountain. You rebuild it by taking the smallest step and repeating it until your steps become strength and your strength becomes confidence. Evan didn't become a new person. He became a consistent one. And sometimes that's all you need to change everything.